Hi, this is Mike Fry, and you are listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. Today is October 1st, 2025. Today's edition, no fatties allowed in Felon47's new military war against the American people. Unhinged, desperate, illegal, and reprehensible, with more than just a little bit of gay from Hegseth. We hate to admit it, but we seem to have something in common with Pete Hegseth. As gay men, we love the look of tight man-ass in military uniforms. So when he says he demands all those in military that he controls to strive for the perfect masculine physique, we kind of get what he's hoping for. See pictures of what we think on our blog. Tragically, though, we have other things to address than Hegseth's obsession with surrounding himself with the perfect masculine physique, because yesterday he and Felon47 called more than 800 generals from all branches of the military from all over the world into a room to announce some terrifying and batshit crazy garbage that, as you may expect by now, the U.S. press has largely been ignoring. What the generals heard pitched included destroying the military rules of engagement. You know, those pesky little guardrails that are supposed to help prevent the military from doing things like committing war crimes. Because who needs rules of engagement when you're planning on deploying the military against the people of America on American soil because they're leftists that you don't like? As we expected, the press has done a miserable job covering the complete shit show Hegseth and Number 3 served up. There has been barely a mention of the extreme proposal of using the U.S. military in U.S. cities to go after political foes with no rules of engagement, for example. To our surprise, CNN actually delivered a headline that was close to right. It read, quote, Trump's ominous move to recruit admirals and generals to his political cause, end quote. But we would argue that calling the illegal deployment of the military with no rules of engagement against his political foes, quote, his political cause, that's pretty lame. Quote, could have been an email, read the headline from Politico, as if saying any of the Hitler-esque shit that they said would have been at all appropriate in written form. To their credit, though, the proposed email that they drafted was almost as insane as the actual meeting and was pure satire and hysterically funny. And they got much of the substance right. ABC News decided to go with a very sane-washing headline that read, quote, Hegseth rails against woke, lays out standards in speech to top generals, admirals, end quote. Apparently to them, threatening to let your military commit war crimes against your own people is simply, quote, laying out new standards, end quote. The Washington Post gave us this blistering, hair-on-fire blast, quote, Trump and Hegseth's backward-facing message to the generals, end quote. The Atlantic headline was also lame and not entirely accurate. It was simply, quote, hundreds of generals try to keep a straight face, with a subhead, quote, Pete Hegseth gathered commanders from around the globe to unveil new physical fitness standards, end quote. Really, Atlantic? The important part to you was the new physical fitness standards? Are you fucking kidding us? Some of the news seemed to focus on the general's response to the insanity that included a president who seemed barely able to speak. His voice was weak and listless, and he frequently trailed off, leaving out words, leaving sentences and words unfinished. That came after Hegseth scolded the generals as being the result of decades of decay in the military. But then again, he also told them they were the best of the best, even if they are too fat. But the response to that insanity is not what the press should have focused on. They should have zeroed in on the show being presented that frankly seemed like it should have been a late-night parody rather than a dangerous and expensive gathering of our top military brass with two clowns on stage, one seeming to be near death or at least on the edge of a very deep, deep sleep, and the other orating like a man hyped up on crack, with both of them saying things that were self-contradictory, illegal, and devoid of substance. After covering that content, then the response to it would have been interesting. To us, the generals in attendance looked angry. Totally fucking pissed off even. In every picture of them, they seemed to be asking with their eyes, "What the fuck is this?" They disrupted our schedules and flew us halfway around the world to listen to this? You endangered our country by putting all of our top military leaders in the same room at the same time for this? In other words, based on the looks on their faces, saying that it didn't go well would be a dramatic understatement. Had the generals done their jobs that day, to protect and defend the U.S. Constitution, Hegseth and Felon47 would have left the meeting as their prisoners. Who knows, maybe they'll get together and come up with a constitutionally based plan to save the nation from this insanity? Doing that really is their job. If they don't, you can expect to see even more illegal military on the streets of America doing even more illegal shit. And we'll have to simply say, we fucking told you so. You have been listening to the We Effing Told You So podcast. Please like and subscribe and then share on your social media. You can find the We Effing Told You So blog on Substack. Find the podcast on Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and any other place podcasts can be found. Thanks for listening.